conversation may be widening. Jane?
That's right, Gabriella. Davita Matheson is attorney. She is also the chair of Rainbow Push Coalition Greenville, Davita Mathis. And we want to welcome her to our community conversation today. Thank you for being with us, Davita.
Thank you.
Well, you have dedicated much of your adult life, if not all of your adult life, really, to working for racial equality and working for justice. In the wake of George Floyd's death, there has been an intense focus on relationships between the police community, law enforcement, and the African American community. We just learned more about what happened at Lavish Lounge. Should black on black crime be addressed as well in these community conversations? And if that is something that should be addressed, how should it be addressed?
Well, black on black crime is a tragedy. It should be addressed. But I don't want to create a false equivalency, because federal, state, and locally sponsored violence against black people is different from violence between black people and black people. It doesn't sound so, but think how ridiculous it would sound if we said white people cannot have civil rights until white people stop killing white people. And nobody says that. Murder is going to happen. It happened in Genesis. But it's different when the state sponsors violent conduct by police against one race of people. That's different. Both of them are reprehensible, but it's different from the killing of George Floyd by a police officer who was acting under the color of law.
Is black on black crime then something that needs to be handled within the black community solely?
Crime needs to be handled by the community at large. White on white crime needs to be handled, and black on black crime needs to be handled. Black on white crime and white on black crime need to be handled, but they should not be conflated or confused with state-sponsored, under the color of law, violence by police, federal agents, or local police officers or state officers against African Americans because of their race.
You have made your career as an attorney and then also working along the Reverend Jesse Jackson with Rainbow and then Rainbow Push Coalition. What would you like to see? What would Rainbow Push like to see when it comes to reform in the criminal justice system? Is there anything specific that you're looking for?
There are a lot of specific things, and I'll mention a few, Jane. I believe that police officers should be licensed. Hairdressers are licensed, nail techs are licensed, teachers are certified, lawyers are certainly screened and licensed. Police officers, state, SLED officers, federal officers, I think already are subject to some type of licensing, but they should be screened for characteristics like racism. We hear a lot about implicit bias, but there's a lot of explicit bias. And police officers or candidates to be police officers or SLED agents should be screened for whether or not they're racist. That's a very important characteristic that we need to know about before a person becomes an officer of the law. Training in de-escalation and understanding racial bias is not enough, because if there's a racist on the police force, it's too late to train that out of a person. I think about the officers in Wilmington, North Carolina. One officer had been there for 22 years, and he expressed that he was buying weapons because he believed there was a race war and he was going to kill as many ends as possible. He didn't just develop that ideology. He was a racist more than likely before he became a police officer, so we need to know about that. We need to reduce the amount of negative interactions between officers and people of color or people in general. There need to be positive interactions to develop some level of trust between officers and the community, particularly in the black community.
So just to be clear, I mean, police officers and officers of the law do have to graduate from the academy. You're saying that you would like to see this added to what they have, their training at the academy?
There should be training at the academy, but more than training, screening, testing to see if this candidate is a racist. Also a national database to determine whether an officer or officer candidate is certified in a way that would make him or her a good officer. And to be a good officer, they would have to not be a racist. And I have not heard of that type of certification in local policing or county or state policing.
Davita, thank you so much for being with us today for our community conversation. Davita Mathis with Rainbow Push Coalition and also an attorney in the upstate. Nigel?